Two, 1, 2, yeah. That works. Microphone here. That should do the trick. All right, how about now? Can anybody hear anything? 1, 2, yeah. Let's crank that up. 2, 2. Now? Whoa. Feedback, not good. All right, how about that? Can hear you now. Sweet. Awesome. I hope this doesn't feed back too much. And I hope it doesn't kind of sound phasey and crappy from the guitar. What's going on? Voice, there we go. Yes, good. Awesome. Hey, Raphael. Thanks, man. If there's anything you want to ask on the live stream, hang around, let me know. Still early in the morning here in Brazil. I think that's why I tried to tee this up, because I feel a lot of people in, you know, the Americas and Europe are probably, it's probably their morning or early afternoon there. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Cheers. How's everybody doing? What should I do? I feel like a circus animal at the moment. So 2 p.m. in England. Great. Early afternoon in Ireland. Well, dudes, cheers for tuning in. I hope it's starting to get warm over there. It's starting to get cool here in Australia. Give us some chugs. Yeah, boy. All right, I need a chuggy amp for that, I think. Rectifier. I'm going to mute my microphone when I do this. Can you guys just let me know if it sounds like absolute crap, if it sounds phasey or something? Actually, I'll just turn it down. That'll do the trick. And then I can turn myself back up. Yippee. There we go. Yeah, that's the AX8. I'm just trying this out, this live stream thing where I was very phasey. Damn, that's a shame. How can I fix that? I got to figure this whole thing out and get like a live stream thing going. I'd like to do this a lot more. So very, very phasey. Damn. Raining in England, man, that sucks. But I guess it's always raining in England, right? Started out great, but became phasey. All right, let me try something. What can I do? How can I change that? I know what I can do. Let me know if it gets phasey. I'm going to do this. I'm talking now. I'm going to mute the microphone and then let me know if the guitar sounds really shitty and phasey. Imagine that's kind of like the really crappy internet that I have here. Play the Bitcoin. Let's do it. Why aren't we making money right now? And why the hell isn't my camera focusing? How do I fix that? Bitcoin. Here it is. Ooh, hopefully I can actually reach that. I'm gonna have to like stand on my desk. Oh yeah. Famous last words. Check it out. There it is. The real deal. The money maker. Yes, this is the Bitcoin pedal. We've just updated it so that it connects wirelessly. So I can just set it here. I'll put it right next to the, I want to be able to see that. Let me do this. There we go. There's the pedal. It'll just be mining the whole time. Oh, what's going on? Oh, we got Emmanuel from Singapore. Hey, man. How are you? We're in the same time zone, I think. That's pretty cool. This blurry picture is killing me. I'm sure there's something I can do. I won't worry about it. Yeah, big money's from the big Bitcoin. Yeah, dude. I've always wanted to visit Singapore. Heard great things about it. Everyone I've ever met from Singapore has been a really, really cool person. So I actually went to uni with a guy from Singapore, and he wasn't into music at all, except for Yngwie Malmsteen. I think he was in the military, and like Yngwie did a show there or something. So his all he knew about rock music was Yngwie Malmsteen. Yeah, man. Touring in Asia is my dream because it's the same time zone. It's so close. I think there's like or something like that in Singapore every year. And we got invited to do that a few years ago, and for some reason it didn't work out. Singapore guitar shopping. I've heard. Les Paul type. Epiphone or PRS? Ooh, that's a really good question. One of my friends has an SE245, the PRS, and it's really, really good. It feels like exactly the same as my American one. And it's kind of like minor details that are different between it. But otherwise, I'd probably go with the SE unless you really, really love the way Gibsons look, in which case the Epiphone stuff's pretty good too. But for me, the pick of the PRS SE stuff is the SE245, and you can get one for like a couple of $100 secondhand, and change the pickups, and it's a beast of a guitar. Yeah, all right. AX8 stuff. I'm playing the AX8 at the moment. I'm just gonna do some whittling. So if you guys have any questions about like playing or stuff like that, let me know. Oh, that's awesome, Tony. Yeah, let me know if you get a 245, dude. And I think they're great guitars. Any tips for dialing in a tone in the bedroom that's usable live? Yes, that's a great topic. Let's talk about that. That's pretty interesting. Because I think the thing that I find I forget about really easily. I'm just going to move this light, actually. Hopefully that improves the picture quality. No. Oh my God. That was like James Bond stuff. I'm going to put this over here so that I don't like die on a live stream. That'd be a little bit embarrassing. WA, guitar shops in WA. We don't have a lot. They're all just kind of like Cosmic is cool to check out. Mega Music. They're just sort of like retail-y kind of shops. But if you want to check out some guitars, the Rock In's really good. And then I'd recommend checking out the Plek at MT Guitars. That's really cool. He's got a bunch of guitars for sale as well. What's going on? So I'm thinking about transitioning from traditional tube amps to amp sims. Yep. Halfway through writing, somebody asks what I wanted to ask. There we go. Yeah. So anyway, back to like the AX8 thing and bedroom stuff is I always forget that it's such a good solution if you can't play at a high volume or something like that. It depends on whether you're using, what I recommend is if you do use it at home, get some studio, like some KRKs or something like, or some Behringer studio monitors. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money just so you can make the full use of the unit. You can use the, the whole like cab modeling section of it. And, it's a different experience to using an amp because you're hearing like the finalized mic'd up guitar tone. But I think the advantage is you kind of get used to sort of playing with a really polished professional sound. But what I do a few things differently between my like bedroom studio that I wouldn't do live. So when I'm trying to dial them in, when I'm trying to dial in live tones, but I'm in my bedroom, I always try to go for like a ballpark thing. So you have to like dial it in and then turn it up really loud to check that the bass and the treble aren't blown out. But what I like to do, like say with this, what have I got at the moment? This is a rectifier preset, and I've been using this one. This is sort of like the not for super small gigs preset. This is for bigger venues. I use this one. It just works better in really big rooms. And what I'll do is I'll give you an example. I don't know how well this will translate. I'll turn the mic off, but what I'm going to do is I'll dial it in for like a low volume. Then I'll turn the monitors up and I'm going to tweak the low cut and the high cut. So I'll have them to start off at like 80 Hertz and 8K. And I'll bump them to like about 150 Hertz and 5.5K, which would be more where I kind of use it live. And you'll be able to hear the difference. So this is like bedroom version. Let me just turn this microphone off. So hopefully that didn't sound like a horrible, phasey piece of crap, although streaming on YouTube does have that tendency. No audio. Damn. That's a real shame. Man, I apologize about that guy. I will have to sort this out and figure out a better way to do these live streams. But having said that, that's what I do. I just play around the low and the high cut. And it depends on, if you can't ever play with really high volume at point, trying to dial in presets that are going to work at high volume because it's guesswork. So generally, I find that when I'm playing at low volume, I want to boost the treble a little bit and the presence. And then as volume goes up, those controls go down. And depending on, you have to be careful with the type of amp model you're using. Say you're using like a Mesa Mark series. There you wouldn't use the treble control because the treble control is like before the gain, so it's shaping the gain. You would want to use like the 6K on the graphic EQ and bring that down. And I was playing around this week, dialing in some live sounds with that amp, and I found I had to base it to 0, whereas when I'm at home, I have it around like 3 or 4. So that control in that amp helps a lot. All right, I should look at some of these. Basically, yeah, hey, Raphael, all that stuff I was talking about, Fletcher-Munson curve is pretty much exactly that. And I don't take it into account like that. I always, as I turn stuff up, I turn those frequencies down and I find it works well. Oh, wow, you've been to the Rock Inn. That's so cool. Shop, man, they have so much cool stuff. Let's see what's going on. What's your favorite fuzz pedal? Dude, this is my favorite fuzz pedal. And I do some work for Johnny from Anarchy Audio, and he makes some amazing fuzzes. So I feel really bad that this isn't one of his fuzzes, but it's the, where is it? I'm not going to pull it down. I might fall off the desk or something. My favorite fuzz is a Way Huge Swollen Pickle, though. I got one the first time I went to America in 2012. I just went crazy with gear. Like I bought 2 guitars and a bass and a bunch of pedals. And yeah, the Swollen Pickle was just like the one for me. And we did an EP about 6 or 9 months after that, All I Want. And, I did all the rhythm guitars for the album. And there's like lots of cool riffy stuff on there. And it was sounding good. And then we went back and we like doubles with, I think we used like an AC30 really clean, and the Way Huge Swollen Pickle just like dime to shit, like so disgustingly fuzzy and filthy and really low in the mix. And sort of brought them up for certain sections where we really wanted to make riffs pop. And it's just like, it's such a cool technique. It's almost like a kind of like sub guitar thing. So yeah, the Swollen Pickle is the one. I use it on everything. I just go nuts when I'm recording. And it's good for doomy tones too, which, I spend heaps of time just going. Can you use a backing track to help dial in a guitar tone? That's a good question. Well, a good thing you could do would be with the AX8 anyway. It's easy. A bunch of like live presets that people use, and use those as like a reference. Not so much in terms of like gain structure or anything, just in terms of like brightness. So. And I do that. I've got like a couple of presets that I sort of either are mine that I've used before that I know work well, or other people, just to have some variety. And that's probably a good way to do it. A backing track, yeah, a backing track again is a different thing, because like I find my recorded guitar tones are way brighter than the tones I would use live. And if you listen to like isolated guitars, you go online and look up like anyone tracks, they always sound like fizzier and brighter than you would expect. So that's in a record. If you want recordable tones, that's a good way to reference it. But for live tones, it's like, it's one of those things. Like if you really want to sound good live, you have to practice the way you want to perform. So it might even just be worth like hiring a rehearsal room and spending $50 or $60 one day and just playing. Like basically find the loudest PA that you can, hire it out and dial in tones that way. And then, they're always going to sound pretty good. And you probably won't have to tweak too much. Normally that's up to the front of house engineer. Max Carton, man, thanks. Really glad you like the channel. If you've got any suggestions for videos, let me F1 qualifying, dude, enjoy it. That is, oh man, why am I not doing that? I like car racing. I like playing guitar more. How about the global EQ for dialing in live tone, or at least to tuning the top end? That's good too. Yep, I always forget about the global EQ. I've been like pretty lucky the last like year or so. A lot of the gigs I've been doing, we've had good front of house engineers. We've been doing like less and less of these kind of ghetto club gigs, which has been cool. So I can normally just say to the front of house engineer, hey, am I too bright? Am I too boomy or anything? And most of them are just going, yeah, it sounds fine. And, you know, they get on doing the job. So, but for smaller clubs and stuff like that, then yeah, that's, it depends how much the sound guy cares. Really depends how much you're paying the sound guy. So, you know, maybe slip the sound guy a 20 before the gig and say, hey man, can you maybe think about caring about my guitar tone at this gig? Hey, Joe, thanks for that, man. Thanks for tuning in. I want to try this actual playing. Maybe I should just use a webcam audio and that will be better. Can I do that? Can I change that now? How do I do that? I'm starting to sound like an old person. Starting to sound like my parents. Why doesn't it work? Let's do... whatever. It's going to get phasey. We're going to live with it. Thanks, Jeff. I hope some interesting stuff comes up, man. Have a great day. Yeah, and the brightness thing on a recorded tone, I think is kind of like, keep in mind that, say you're recording a track, and a lot of the time the end goal is for people to listen to it, right? Either on like, now it's mostly they're going to stream it. But a lot of the time it's like, if you're a band or a solo artist and you're releasing something, you're going to want to push it out to radio, and you're going to want to push it out to streaming platforms. So you want it to sound good, like relative to the way the entire body of recorded music sounds, meaning that it's against stuff. And, you know, radio is still kind of the reference, and radio stuff's always like really bright and really slam. So a lot of the time, even in the mastering process, they'll just sort of make it brighter, and they'll make it, you know, stand out a little bit more. So what you're hearing is like, you're hearing a guitar amp that's been recorded a certain way, and they've dialed in a tone to record with. Then the mix engineer is going to use a bunch of like outboard gear on that recorded tone to make it sit with all the other instruments. And then the mastering engineer is going to play around with that final mix to sort of get it ready for radio. It's a really hard thing to compare, just sort of like plugging into, you know, an amp or plugging into an AX8 and trying to get that like finished tone, because there's so much processing that goes on. And often there's more than one person involved in that whole process. Like, I don't know anybody who records, engineers, produces, and masters their own stuff to a super high standard, you know? Yeah. It is interesting, the brightness thing, though. I'm going to play some clean stuff now. Let's do that. Clean sounds. This is a good one. This is a comedy of errors at the moment, isn't it? My guitar's not in tune. The lights are falling over. I'm killing you guys on the other end with feedback. I'm a mess. Oh, God. At least this is making it entertaining for me. So thoughts on, so Matt Carton, you asked a question. Thoughts on pickups in 335 guitars. Way more mids and can be difficult not to make them sound quite, yeah, definitely, dude. Something I found with the ES style guitars, I'm just going to tune this while I do this. It's like something that seems to happen with this style of guitar is it's like it almost, the sort of construction almost like pre-filters out low end and pre-filters out extreme high. So you're just kind of left with these peaky kind of mids. Let's see. I'll tune this and play some stuff with it, and hopefully it doesn't sound terrible. But going from that STR, which is basically like a Les Paul style guitar, and kind of a default, I think of tones in terms of what they would sound like with the bridge pickup of a Les Paul most of the time. But we'll go back to that rectifier patch, and you'll hear how much more like honky this guitar is. And then I'll play around and give you guys some ideas for how you can change it. So rectifier, there we go. I'm going to unplug this. Hopefully that's not feeding back again. What I did there was on the amplifier, I cut a little bit of mid-range and I boosted a little bit of the treble. But I find when you're compensating for different guitars, especially like guitars that have a like frequency band character about them, for example, like this 335 is quite mid-rangey and honky, using pre-EQ to change it. So using the parametric EQ block, for example, and what you can do is set it to say like, I don't know, go extreme, set it to like a 6 dB cut at a certain, sweep that frequency to find where like the honkiness is. And when you've discovered that, play around with the amount of actual cut that you take out there. So basically, yeah, using a filter to change the pre-EQ basically changes the sound of your pickups, which is kind of cool. It doesn't really change the like dynamic response between the amp and the guitar, which is nice, but you can take out any frequencies you don't like on the guitar, if that makes sense. Let's see. One of the best lead tones I ever got was 64335 through a treble booster and a Friedman amp. Ooh, I bet you that sounded amazing. yeah, man, thanks. I'm really glad you like the sounds. But that's interesting. Like, let's talk about that. Because the 335's honky, right? So what a treble booster does is it doesn't really boost treble. It boosts the upper mid range, and it like attenuates the extreme high end and attenuates the lows as a what type of Friedman was it? Because if it was like a BE or something, the Friedmans have a cool structure where they cut heaps of bass out of the incoming signal, then they distort it, then they boost bass like after the gain, which would work really well with a dark, boomy guitar because you're taking out all the boom and the mud, and then you're kind of distorting it and making it sound sweet, and then you're adding back the sort of body and low end to the tone afterwards, which is pretty cool, I think. So I imagine that sounded amazing. I think the best lead tone I ever got was this guitar, and there's a pedal called the Hotcake pedal by Crowther Audio, and running that into just a DSL 50, which I was tracking a solo for a Ragdoll song, and I was loving the tone, and I just wasn't quite nailing this solo. And it's like the middle of winter here, which is like probably like a summer day in England. And it was raining outside, and the producer just goes, just run around the block now, like sprint, go. So it made me run in the rain, and I like ran in, and he had my guitar sort of like ready to go and in tune, and I picked up my guitar and I sat down, and I played the solo. I'll try to play the solo for you guys. Not that it's really going to sound like it, but if I was going for an equivalent thing, I'll dial up. Here's my C++ preset. I'll use it with the 335, and we'll try get some tone. Hopefully it won't feed back and I won't annoy everybody. Let's do that. Oh, this is hilarious. Everything's gone wrong. I was playing the fast lick rubbish. I broke a string. It's all happening. Let's see what's going on. Treble boosters with a full frequency makes up for a really cool fuzz tone. Yeah, definitely, dude. My buddy Johnny from Anarchy Audio just made... He's on a run of pedals, and I was just demoing them for him, where it's like one sort of like a range master style treble booster, and the other's more like a Maestro fuzz tone. I think it's a Maestro, or maybe the other one. But yeah, they're so cool. Like the treble booster, especially, like you wind it all the way up, and it's basically a really sweet sounding fuzz. Hotcake is great. Yeah, dude, it's a good pedal. It's a one pedal I regret selling. I went through this huge purge when I got my Axe effects, and basically one of the only overdrives I was on the fence about selling was a Hotcake, and someone like, you know, I don't know, I sold it for like $150 or something. So yeah, I probably should have just kept it because it sounds amazing. It's got a cool like presence control as well, and I always kept the presence control at around half. If you turn the presence control off, it's just the sweetest sounding overdrive ever. Damn, I want a Hotcake now. Ugh, the gas strikes again. Anyway, that's my 5-string 335. I've got to change the strings now. I'm going to grab another guitar. Thanks for that, Raphael, man. Have a good day. And yeah, hopefully we cover some more cool stuff and I don't manage to like blow myself up or, you know, the roof collapses on me or a piano falls out of the sky on me. So there'll be more cool stuff in the stream. But yeah, let's talk some more stuff about tone. Tips for adjusting EQ at a gig. If you need to tweak, do you go to amp EQ first? Yeah, I normally use the amp EQ. What would be really cool on the AX8 if there was just like a button you could press that takes you straight to the global EQ, because that's not a bad one to use as well. Or you can use, yeah, I guess that's cool. Another thing you can do, I do this on my live presets, is have like a filter block or a parametric EQ block set up on a foot switch, which you like a slight variation on your main tone. Say you need more mids, because that's basically one of the things that happens a lot at gigs is you're too bright, like there's too much treble and there's not enough mid range. So having something which rolls off the highs and like boosts the mids with a fairly wide Q around 2K, having something like that, and then you can just sort of go, oh, cool, I need to tweak it, press that. And if that doesn't work, then you can use the amp controls. That's what I try to do anyway. Have you tried Fractal on your phone or tablet? No, I haven't. I have tried it on my Mac, though. I just got it, and I don't have a tablet, and I always put my phone like in my road case with my ID. I shouldn't say this, you know. If it comes to a gig and they want to steal my identity, they'll know where to go. But I always put like my stuff I just lose small things. So I try to keep everything as minimal as possible. So I don't really need it on my phone. And I don't have a tablet. So, but I've tried it on the Mac and it's really, really cool. Being able to attach a modifier to anything is, yeah, I like that. What brand of strings do you use? I've been tempted to change clear tone or some other coded strings. I love NYXLs, but I don't need to read this out loud. You guys can see the questions. How old am I? Like being my dad. That's what kills him if I get to clean him after a gig. Yeah, dude, it depends. I know some people who have just the most like acidic string killing sweat ever. And some people who can play like a set of just standard like Ernie Ball non-coded strings for like a year and they're still nice. But most of the time, like if we're not touring, I just use elixirs. I use the nano webs. I like them. They're pretty good. And I use them on acoustic guitar as well, because I probably do more like acoustic duo gigs than I do sort of full band hard rock gigs at the moment. So yeah, the elixirs are really good because they feel nice and they don't sort of die on the acoustic guitar. And then normally when we're on tour, I just use like Ernie Ball 10 to 52s because that would cost me like a whole lot of money. It would be great to have like a string endorsement. I've got a guitar endorsement, but I don't have a string endorsement. That's a little bit backwards. So yeah, just I don't know, man. It's a hard thing because it makes a difference if you're thinking about it, and if you're not thinking about it, But yeah, good question. How many do I get to pick? Oh yeah, dude. If you want to send me anything, please just like, I'll put my email address up here in the chat. Whoa, what's this? Oh man, I'm cooked. What am I doing? I'm not drunk. I'm not high. I don't even do drugs. I don't drink, and I'm bumbling around like a moron. It's over here. Before I break something for real. Yeah, if you guys have specific questions or stuff like that, I'll put my email up, or SoundCloud. Yeah, sure. That's easy. I'll put my email up anyway. If people want to send me stuff, I'll listen to it. I like listening to stuff. I like hearing new music. Can I resolve the noise? How can I resolve the noise from the AX8? I don't want to use a noise gate or something like that. I just use the input noise gate. I can have my guitar wide open, and it's not feeding back, which is pretty sick. So That's just the input gate. I set the threshold around like -65 and the attack to 2, the ratio to 2, and it's really, really good. That's how I get around it anyway. And you don't really need to use a gate unless you're doing like mega djenty stuff. All right, let's see. Desert Island Guitar albums. I'm going to go Gary Moore, Corridors of Power. That's one. I'm hopeless. I cannot do this. Why am I even bothering? Gary Moore lived 10 minutes from you. Oh, dude, that would. Did you like run into him at a supermarket or something? Like, hey, Gary, yeah, buying the milk, are you? But yeah, Corridors of Power. The first song on there for me just really, Don't Take Me for a Loser or something. That's not in tune. That's not in tune at all. How you met him? Man, I don't know if I would have liked to have met him. I don't know what I would have said. Probably just would have made a fool of myself. But that's pretty cool. But yeah, Don't Take Me for a Loser. And his whole 2-finger thing that. Greetings from Russia. Hey, man. Thank you for tuning in. What part of Russia are you from? I'm like a geography and a history geek, so I'm always sort of curious to know where people are from in the world and what it's like. So, he just played guitar. That's sick, man. That's something you can tell your grandchildren. He's, yeah, amazing. So yeah, Don't Take Me for a Loser I really like. What's the other one? Cold Hearted. And End of the World, that solo on there. Or am I going to make a fool of myself and try to play that? Let's do it. Why not? That's let's do this. I'm going to put heaps of delay on because I suck, and try to play that. It's one of the best unaccompanied guitar. Everyone talks about Eruption, but End of the World, Gary Moore. Oh. Wow. And this bit. Let's try it. He shreds so hard. that pattern's really cool. It's actually a major 7th arpeggio. Like, what's he playing? C major 7th. Which, you know, if I cheat, I can kind of do it, I think. Yeah, it's just beast, man. Yeah, I think that's like a thing to that whole like I really need to warm up to even be able to sort of get close to that sort of thing. That real manic kind of picking stuff. I just find it so difficult. Whereas like the Yngwie stuff or the Paul Gilbert stuff is in some ways it's easier to play, even though they're like technically playing faster, you know, doing all this kind of like so yeah, I don't know. There's something like those 2-note per string picking patterns just sort of, I find them really hard. And the Zach Wilde stuff and the Doug Aldrich stuff, all those kind of guys who can do that. Steve Stevens is another one. I spent a lot of time working on that. I just, I don't know. I just suck in comparison to those guys. Yeah. Cameron amps. Yeah, definitely, dude. I'm gonna put one of my main presets is a Cameron Atomica. It's this one. Let's have a listen to it. And it's amazing. It's sort of like, it just does the ideal Marshall thing. Richie Kotzen, yeah, dude. That guy is. I kind of hate Richie Kotzen because not only is he an amazing player, he's an amazing singer, and he's a pretty good-looking dude too. Like the guy has got it all going on. So, yeah. No, I don't hate him. I think he's amazing. I really, really like his stuff. Some of his like pentatonic legato stuff, you know, where he's playing like these sort of. Yeah, dude, Ian Thornley. The first time I saw him, I was like, man, this guy's another Richie Kotzen. I really, really like his band Thornley as well. It's just sort of more like straight ahead, kind of grungy rock stuff. And yeah, there's a couple of Thornley albums that I just love. And the Big Wreck stuff, yeah, he's a bastard. He's so good. So good. You know, yeah. Oh, Ghosts, yeah. I'm not even going to try that. I'm not even going to try and imitate what he does on the guitar. This is sort of like someone who, it just sounds like music rather than guitar playing. Yeah, and you know, these guys, it's like, yeah, they just kind of get to this stage where it's like the music flows out of them. So that's why you got to devote yourself to it, you know. If I can be 1% as good as those guys, I'll die a very happy man. All right, man. Peace out. I'll see you on the next one. So yeah, that's anyway. Desert Island record number 1, Gary Moore, Corridors of Power. Number 2, was sort of a guitar album, a sort of rocky kind of album. I'm going to go Rainbow Rising because it's only 6 songs, but it's got Stargazer on it, and I could listen to Stargazer all day. So yeah, Stargazer, Rainbow Rising, Tarot Woman on there as well. And that like keyboard solo at the start as well. He's in the whole like. I'm getting carried away noodling with that, but yeah, that would probably be Desert Island record number 2. Both sort of mid to late 70s sort of things. Another one, probably Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy, just because it's got no quarter on it. I don't even need the rest of the album, just that song, no quarter, because no quarter. would include that aren't really like awesome guitar albums that I'd probably want to listen to for the rest of my life. King's X, Dogman. Yeah, King's X. We got to have some King's X in there. My goal in life is just to be able to rip off every King's X song, which is pretty much how I write. Like a King's X song, then I'll stick with that. Yeah, Dogman's pretty brilliant. I could recommend, basically, I'm not super into much of the stuff they did after Dogman. Maybe Ogre Tones is pretty cool. I don't mind that album. But Out of the Silent Planet and Gretchen Goes to Nebraska are just mind-blowing for me. I kind of grew up with those albums. And then I heard Dogman, and I was like, oh my God, there it is. That's the one. But yeah, like in the new age of Out of the Silent Planet, that's a sick riff. And that's like 1988 or something that album came out. So it's like, you know, a good 4 or 5 years ahead of the time. When I was in LA and we played in LA in 2014, we opened up for Skid Row or someone. So I was like there for a couple of days, sort of getting prepped for the gig. And I ended up having dinner with Doug. Me and Cam had dinner with Doug, and he came and picked us up at our hotel, and we had this really, really fun night. He just got like super drunk, and we ate ribs and had the best time. And he was saying that he remembers playing in Seattle on that like Out of the Silent Planet tour, and it was like everyone was there. Everyone from every Seattle grunge band was in the audience. He said it's like one of the greatest shows he's ever played. Some like, you know, medium-sized club. Everyone was there. Had a great show, had a great time hanging out with everyone. They were doing a bunch of stuff like that, you know, in drop D and like Pleiades. Whatever the next part of that is. And yeah, and it's interesting, you know, he wasn't saying, oh my God, all these guys ripped me off, but you know, they were doing all that kind of stuff. And you had the guys from Soundgarden, the guys from Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, all these other bands sort of there. And then they ended up doing the drop D thing. But Dogman is just the pinnacle of that thing. Yeah, the interview that Pete Thorne did with him was so cool. And that's like, man, it's exactly what it's like hanging out with him. His like, he understands that people love his band, but he's still super humble about it. And he's just a dude to hang out with. Yeah, Out of the Silent Planet, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. Gretchen Goes to Nebraska is love. I actually like Out of the Silent Planet that a little bit more. But yeah, Dogman. What's the other one that's just... Oh yeah, he's just, that's such a cool song. What song's that? Human Behavior or something? I think that's the one for me. And then how's that one go? Yeah, just kind of the, you know, the way they basically just playing the blues scale as drop D. And doing the 80s thing with a lot of those. And I don't know, I never went out to try and rip that style off, but I listened to so much of it that when I really started getting into writing in drop D, I kind of, you know, by learning King's X songs, it's like I kind of figured out that style and I really liked it. And it's a very organic thing for me now to sort of write music and write dogman-y kind of riffs. And a lot of those chords as well are just amazing, you know, like... I know Ty Table is a huge George Lynch fan, so that's pretty cool too. Makes sense when you listen to a lot of his soloing. There's a lot of... Oh, I got a message. Cool. What's going on here? Oh, 2 messages. A message from Troy. Am I live streaming? Yes, I am live streaming. When was that? Oh, that was like an hour ago. Yes, Ty is like Alex Lifeson, where he uses cool chords to fill the spaces in their music. Lots of droning G strings, you know, doing this kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, I play in a 3-piece as well. So those 2 guys, when I'm writing guitar, I try to think about, you know, how do you fill up the space? You try to have drone strings in there, you know. I'm in actually drop C at the moment, so to be the open D string, the open E. But yeah, there's like a lot of our songs where there's that kind of. I think for me, if you take those 2 guys and then you take like John Sykes with the whole like 80s. That's something I like to try and do as well, is keep the same little going throughout a riff like. Using the thumb over the top. There's a song we do called Break You, which is like the same thing. That whole kind of thing, which is pretty cool. And yeah, talking about Rush, the greatest. Yeah, I'm a big time Rush fan as well. 3 pieces, man. If you can make a 3-piece sound good, you're my idol, basically. So Lifeson, Ty Tabor, who else? Glenn Hughes when he was in Trapeze. Hey, thanks, Manny. That's cool. Really appreciate it, man. That means a lot. It's like it's really spun out because I just kind of sit here a lot of the time, writing little demo songs, patting my cat, hanging out with my wife, and it's mind blowing that people from around the world tune in, and it helps. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Andy Summers from The Police. Yeah, man. The drone string thing, the use of effects. It's like lateral thinking, you know, because I think a lot of people think to sound heavy, you have to just like have lots of layers. But those guys really show off that it's like, it's how you use space, and it's how you kind of create character parts, you know, like parts which really have a distinct personality and stick out, and you put that extra effort in, and it makes the whole band, brings everybody up, which I think is pretty cool. And like cool, rather than just playing power chords, playing like sus2 chords, which all of those guys do, you know, so yeah, that's kind of the, I guess, part of the secret to that 3-piece thing, isn't it? Using cool chords, filling up the space. I always find it weird especially if I do like a jam, you know, sitting on like a jam thing with other guitar players, and I'm not the only guitar player. It's like, I want to sit there and just play one note. You know, if someone's playing a cool riff, I just sit there going, because I feel like I'm doing too much, you know. If the other guitar player is already playing the chords, like, I don't really need to do anything. Ah, Steely Dan. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All roads lead to Steely Dan, I think, really. They're the ultimate musician band. And the new chord thing is pretty interesting. I don't know much. Or am I thinking something else? I don't know. I can't even remember. Oh, the sus2 voicing. Yeah, yeah. They do a really cool thing, which you can voice a sus2 chord like, you know, as a fifth stacked on top of a fifth. And then they invert it around the middle note. So what happens is like the root note goes to the sus2 and the sus2 goes to the root note. So it becomes that, which sounds like way more unsettled. Whereas the sus2 has this sort of like arriving kind of sound. And it's first invert, like that first inversion there's like, and you play them together and it sounds like you've got harmonic movement, even though you don't. It's just a sus2. And the voice leading is cool because it's like parallel. Oh, right. Well, that kind of clears it up there. There you go. Putting that together, another chord which is really cool. It's not really a major seventh without a third. It's using the root, the fifth, and the major seventh, like. And if you play it on the flat six, then you kind of, you know, if you're playing in, I'm playing in C at the moment. So if I play A flat 5 at the major 7, and like chug that, this is the third chord, right? The minor key. So it's, yeah, it's a really cool. I really like the I guess the Steely Dan thing as well kind of pops up in, you know, like where you just play any chord and you keep what the highest note in the chord the same. You can kind of do anything you want. I'll keep this F. Well, actually, I'm down a whole tone, so it'd be E flat. Or, you know, using a drop in G. 8 a.m. in Illinois. Welcome, Timothy. Do you have any questions, man? Anything you want to talk about? 3 p.m. in England and raining. The old. What part of England are you in, Tony? Because 2 of my best friends just moved to London, and yeah, I only speak to them like once a month now. I used to speak to them almost every day, so they seem to be digging to the sort of food scene over there, which I hear is pretty unreal. I like food. Everyone likes food. I want to lay now. Lincoln, East Midlands. Oh, cool. I think we were meant to play, we're trying to play like a festival near there or something. That didn't work out, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully next year sometime we'll actually make it over to the UK. I really want to play there. Especially Western Australia. There's more people born in the UK who live here than people born in Australia. So it's kind of Little Britain here. So I imagine it would be really familiar. And all the Brits who live here are like the only people who come out and actually see live music. So the sort of music culture around that's pretty cool. Oh man, that's cool. Same thing. Like if you're ever in WA, just drop me a line and we'll hang out and have some coffee, go to the beach or something. Oh, there's someone from Manchester in here. Didn't Manchester City just win the Premier League? Is that what they won? Or did they win the other one? Oh, I think they won the Premier League or something, right? Like a bunch of rounds before the end. They can't not win now. I kind of keep up with the football. I basically just like, I kind of know who's on top of the table, which is interesting. But yeah, we have like that demented football where we run around in short shorts and try to kill each other, basically. Aussie rules. the AX8 should be going straight to the sound card and through, like, streaming straight to you guys. But I'm sure you're getting a little bit of spill from the microphone as well. You can probably hear the string noise blended in there. But yeah, it's really good. You know, I've done heaps of videos where some A/B between amps, and like, honest to God, that still fades a lot after. Yeah, oh man, that sucks. I must discover better ways to do this. After the live stream, much of your playing is gold for me, and ripped off so many of your lines. Oh, dude, that's the whole point, man. Like, if you hear stuff you like, rip it off, make it your own. The cool thing about it is, like, everybody, you know, I could write you a list 100 players long of people that I've ripped off and been inspired by. So, yeah, maybe I just did some of the, you know, maybe I just made it easier for you and siphoned it down. So, yeah, this will be available. I'll post this up. I want to make this a regular thing going forward. So, I'll find a better way to do it. And it'd kind of be cool to do it with some guests. I think I have some cool friends that I think a bunch of you guys would really dig how they play and how they approach music. So, would love to see Ragdoll play in Belgium. Oh, dude, where is it? Where's the thing? This will. I don't know if you can see this. But I got this from a club we played in Belgium, end of 2016. And we were actually meant to come back for the end of May. We had a whole tour lined up, but unfortunately, the singer in our band, his eldest son, got really, really sick at the start of the year. He had lymphoma, so it was sort of like, dude, fuck the tour, like, you know, go and make sure that's sorted out and take as much time as you need. And that was a little bit scary, but his son is all good now, so that's really, really exciting for them. I'm so happy. And it's sort of like, you know, the long recovery process, and, you know, his son's like 8 and he's got to take all the drugs and stuff like that. And so it was but, you know, everything's got a silver lining, and we're using that time to basically record an album. And then when the album's recorded, fingers crossed, we can come back over, and our label is based in France. So we're sort of always able to get French stuff. And we spent 4 days in Belgium last time. We just had the best time. We went to Bruges, Ypres. We played this small town, Roselay, and oh, dude, I love Belgium. Everyone there was just so welcoming, and I would go back in a heartbeat. So yeah, hopefully next year we can make it over and we can play in Belgium again. And I can eat all the chocolate and all cool confectionery again, because I loved it. I had such a good time there. And hopefully when we're there, you can come out, because I know Belgium's, you know, compared to Australia, it's a small place. It's not far to drive anywhere. So that'd be that's cool, man. Like, I think my first really, oh my God, moment seeing somebody play guitar live was when Lynch Mob played in Perth, and there was like 100 people at the show. And I was like, oh my God, I can stand close to George Lynch. And my friend's band actually opened up for him. And I remember sort of being so salty at the time that I was like, oh my God, George Lynch, my favorite guitar player. And I wasn't in a band at the time, so I was just hanging out. And yeah, it was so good. He just blew me away, man. Like, Oh. It's kind of cool. Like, I know a lot of the same players. One cool thing to do is if you really love a guitar player, like say George Lynch, I used to just read every interview with him where he would talk about his favorite players. And then I'd go and listen to them. Like he talked a lot about him and Paul Gilbert, all these guys talk about Robin Trower. And that's how I really got into Robin Trower, was listening to him, and he's the best, you know. The preset I'm using it's the Atomica High. If you look on the forum for the like Yex amp guide, and you look up the Atomica, Justin York, who's a guitar player from Paramore, and he makes the York Audio impulses. He had a post on there like about the way he sets the Atomica up, and I tried it, and it was just like, dude, that's the sound I've been looking for. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Basically, the settings are like, I'll tell you what the settings are. I'm using one of his impulse responses, which are really good. And so, yeah, it's bass 10, middle 10, depth 10, presence and treble and 7, input drive at about 9, master volume at 5. And you don't have to really touch anything. And it's I know reading about how the Atomica was designed. So Mark Cameron, you know, the legend is that apparently this old modded Marshall came in that allegedly belonged to Eddie Van Halen, and that's the amp, like that's the Brown Sound amp, and he copied it. So apparently the Atomica is the Brown Sound amp. You just turn everything all the way up. I have that bipolar set. 1 second, I think my cat wants to come in. The IR, it's 57MC and 121.1 blended. I forget what the ratio is. I'll be right back. Hey, buddy. Come on, fat cat. This is pretty much my life. Come on. Yo, jump up here. This is the best spot. This is where you want to live. This is where you want to go to sleep. Yes. Yes. So anyway, that's my gigantic cat. Yeah, dude, if you've got that pack, and if you're on the Fractal forum, write him a private message, because he made that mix IR for, and if you just say, hey, I'm sure if you ask nicely and just say, hey, Leon mentioned that you made him this mix IR, and I've got the pack, you know, can you either send it to me, or I'm sure even if you asked him to make you some custom mixes, he'd be able to do it. He's the nicest guy. I've been messaging him quite a fair bit about he's gonna coming out. and they all sound amazing. And yeah, he's just like the coolest dude. Like, amazing guitar player, amazing. He's in an amazing band, and he's just so humble and so like genuine. So yeah, he's one of the good guys. And the Atomica, man, oh, it's so good, so good for that kind of thing. What's that other Link Mob song? River of Love or something? How does that go? That's hard to play. God, that's such a George lick, isn't it? Using like the Mixolydian. That's what that noise was. What's up, man? Having a good time? Yeah. I think he's going to do his routine, lick all the different bits live on the internet. Yeah, River of Love, man. So that's how you play it anyway, I think. And all the... He does a really cool thing as well where he uses like the Mixolydian mode. The minor scale, the blues scale. I guess because Mixolydian and Dorian only differ in like the third degree. You know, Dorian's a minor third, Mixolydian's a major third. So you can kind of jump around between them. Oh, I think I might have seen that. He's playing like a soldano, and then he's got heaps and heaps of reverb. Like, I remember it sounding like this. I'm going to add some crazy reverb to this. Like just mega reverb. I'm probably totally deluded, but... I remember seeing the video and it was like that kind of. It might not be that video, it might be a different one, but I gotta turn that off. That's so silly. Yeah, and he looks really fed up when he was on his own demonstrating. Had the yes, that's the one. Yeah, man, it was. I remember like hanging out with my buddy, and we were both looking at each other like, "Dude, that's a lot of reverb. Like, what's he doing?" And it might have been one of those things where, like, you know, he might have just soaked it in effects while he was playing for the vibe. And then when they actually mix it, they just turned all that stuff off or like greatly decreased it, kind of like a safety blanket. Because I don't want to get heaps of delay and reverb. I feel like I can play like a god. And then if I turn it off, it's like, oh my God, it's also naked. I mostly just like delay. Ah, look at this. Show off cat. Living the best life. Sorry, I did not mean to hit that. Anyway, this has been pretty fun. This has been a cool way to kill an hour and a half and actually chat about gear and learn some things. So me learning some things. I hope you guys get something out of it as well. But yeah, man, George, what a dude. I've known a few people who have met him and hung out with him and said he's pretty cool. So I was watching the like Tone Talk thing that Dave Friedman and what's his name do. And they had George Lynch on there, and it's kind of cool seeing him just being himself. He's not like pissed off about anything. He's just hanging out, talking about amps, and joking about how much gear he has and how little gear he really needs, which is like me. I have so many amps and so many guitars, and you know, I'm playing a modeler and this, which is kind of cool. Yeah, dude, the Tone Talk was so cool. I was watching that today. Yeah, like I love that format where they get drunk and spill secrets. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's happening. It is. It's good. I really like the one with John Suhr and Pete Thorne. Like John's story is really, really cool. That was really interesting. Mike Soldano as well, just being like, yeah, Messer just ripped my amp off and didn't tell me. Thanks. Yeah, I don't have any really cool. Or do I? Anyway, when I saw George Lynch in Perth, he was using. He had a Soldano, and he had like an old Plexi. I don't know whose they were. I don't know if they were his amps or he was borrowing them. And at the time, I had just bought my Soldano, basically, so I could try to sound like George Lynch, because that's the sound. And yeah, he didn't even have the Soldano plugged in. It was all Plexi, and it just sounded like him. It was like the coolest thing ever, which I think is kind of cool. Like, you know, he's had so many pieces of signature gear that it's like, yeah, you know, plug a Strat soul guitar with a humbucker in it into an old Marshall and just play your ass off. And that's That's how you sound like that. Gothic octave thing. Yeah, I kind of like what he was saying as well, worrying about all the different pieces of gear you have. Just work on actually playing with some personality and, you know, experiment with different notes that aren't just, you know, and I always like that about his playing, where it's like you just kind of, he's playing all this cool, tasty stuff, and then he's sort of really thinking about the ripping. It's just, you know, even his like. It's an E, isn't it? Alrighty. If you guys have any like last things you want to ask about, shoot, because I'll probably hang out for another 5 minutes and then head off and play with the cat. Too cute, aren't you? I think practice. Awesome, man. Practice. Good. Very good. Practice as much as possible. Any plans for an XFX 2 or 3? I put myself on the wait list for the 3. So, yeah, whenever they arrive in Australia, hopefully I'll get one. So that will be cool. Do you ever transcribe your stuff? Ooh, I should. Like, the next album we're doing, I want to release as like the album and then as an instrumental as well. So just no vocals, and then also provide like guitar tab for it. Sort of offer that as like a package, and maybe do some videos on like how to play the songs as well and how to play the solos. The thing with me is a lot of the time the solos I end up keeping are the ones that I can't remember how to play. Like I just kind of bust them out. And I have I can kind of remember the template and I always end up playing it slightly different every time live. But I suppose I could go and transcribe it. It's not that hard if I've played it before. So yeah, I mean, if that's something anyone's interested in, having like the tab and the album and the instrumental, basically like karaoke tracks for guitar, or even like a mix with no guitar. I think we'll do something like that this time. It seems to be a popular thing. Or even just like, hey, here's the album and here's the stems. So if people want to remix it or have fun with it, why not? And, you know, if I end up using the community these days and learning from one another and, you know, making it all accessible. And I guess that's why we're here. So it's pretty cool. All righty. Dudes, everybody watching, thank you so much. Hanging out with people all around the world. I'm going to try to figure out how to get this audio thing sorted a little bit better. I think if I use headphones, it won't be as bad. So maybe on the next one, I'll use headphones. And yeah, we can do that. And maybe like once a week or once a fortnight, do like a live hang thing. I'll just do some noodle with heaps of gain. Why not? And oh man, it's like the practice thing is sort of like how much like you get out of it more than the amount of time, you know. It's like I find if you can during a practice session just sort of like what's that for? It's a Monster or something? Like that's the lead in it, just mental guitar.